Thanks for the opportunity. So last meeting when we were discussing the fire station and how much remaining money there were, I misspoke and I didn't realize it till after. So I looked at a number, but I said a different number. So the clarification is that there's about 1.2 million left for the fire station.
Thank you very much for the clarification.
Thank you.
Mayor?
And we will come back to the fire station for some things for Deborah to speak on, but also I want to go to Deborah first, and then go right into the fire station on the temporary location for City Hall.
Questions? I'd like to go on to do a clarification about the discussion we had last night about the fire station and funding for the fire station. In front of you, what you have is the IGA that was adopted by this council on December 21st.
You're supposed to use your microphone. Okay.
I'm talking into my
There you go. Thank you.
So you have before you a copy of the intergovernmental agreement executed between the City of Kenner and the State of Louisiana Department of Transportation. It was voted on December 21. It was signed December 28. In there, it specifically identifies the fact that the funding thus far was December 21, 2018. The funding was incomplete at that time. On January 18, 2019, there was a Kenner Council meeting, at which point there was a presentation regarding all of the pieces parts, the flyover, the traffic. We had Carmelo Gutierrez there who was doing the traffic study. Frank Lang was there, the fire station and the access road. The mayor spoke, Heather spoke, I spoke, but most importantly, Ed Rapier spoke. And in Ed's presentation to the council, he specifically said, and I think he was responding to a question either by Ms. Alessandra or Mr. Brown about, wait, do we have enough funding? And he said, no, this is not sufficient funding. We will have to get more funding. Between the January of 2019 and March of 2020, Mr. Rapier negotiated with DOTD, and during that time, Mr. Rapier made presentations to this council or members of this council in small groups and with the mayor's conference room, talking about the funding and the fact that before we even arrived here, a decision had been made that portions of Williams was being given to the city by DOTD in exchange for the city's match for the flyover. We weren't even asked if we were making a match for the flyover. We were just told we're doing a match for the flyover. So at that time, and again, a lot of this is from my memory of Ed's presentations, they wanted to give us more of Williams as our match, as our additional funding for the fire station. And we said, no, we don't want more of Williams. What we'd be interested in largely is Reverend Richard Wilson. A couple of reasons for that. One, we have a lot of issues down there with open ditches, with sidewalks, the area in particular over by the East Jeff Levy District. New construction created some dangerous pedestrian and vehicular areas, and we were never able to do anything about it. It would require us to go to the state, so this would both give us that opportunity to make those repairs if we own the building, the street. We would be able to deal with the traffic speeding through Rivertown, and we'd be able to expand our festival footprint. And I can sort of carve and date it because I spoke with Councilman Carroll about having a Lloyd Price festival before Mr. Price passed. So the hope was that that would actually enhance economic development in Rivertown. Now, even with those two pieces of funding, and the last document you have is from Ed Rapier from July 6, 2021, that shows the initial CEA, which is what you have, $3.4 million, road transfer, $3.8 million, 1.5 of that road transfer is the Kenner's match for the flyover. That's 2.3 to the fire station. That's still not enough. We are $200,000 or $300,000 short. We brought that to your attention when we brought the Green Book capital outlay, because we have asked the state to give us another 250. I think it's 250, Tom, if you remember. 270 something, another 270, asking them to give us another 270 to be able to complete that. A lot of that has to do with the time. You know, it's been since 2018, 2019, 2020, when this discussion was going on, prices of everything have gone up. So at this point, we are still short even with that funding formula. Now, I have every respect for this council. I seriously do, and I don't believe you would defund the fire station without having another funding source. So I truly hope and believe that there's going to be another way to fund it. This was the funding plan that has been in place for a while, but if, you know, that doesn't have to be the funding source, I understand that. I truly wish for just the short period of time we're left here, if you guys would call, you know, if you see something you don't like on the agenda, call and say, what is this, what's this for? Because I got the feeling that there was no memory of this prior discussion. So with that being said, we will work with you any way we can. If you need us to go back to the state for a different, try to get a different funding source. But this was not new information. You can listen to Ed's comments from January 18, 2019, and realize that the discussion about there not being enough funding has been ongoing for quite some time. So I'm happy to answer questions now or later, or bring you data, or whatever it is you need to be able to help make your decision on that.
Councilman Hayes?
What is the final answer? How much are we short right now? You can speak louder, please.
If we maintain the funding plan from 2019, we're short 250. If we reject the road transfer, we are short we're short 1.5 for our match for the flyover, and we'll be short 2.3 for our match for the fire station, plus another 270. Okay, so currently we're short 270.
Well, if we can't generate that internally, then I would suggest we talk to our bond counsel pretty quick, because we could do a budgetary loan, and Tommy is great right now with rates. You could do this, we won't have more than 10 million borrowed this year, so you can do it as a bank qualified tax exempt issue to the bank. So our fiscal agent bank is the first one to talk to, and I think they'll be very willing with rates the way they are right now to accommodate our needs. So that's one thing I would suggest you do.
All right, Liz, you have that? Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Brannick?
Got a question.
Yes, sir.
On the funding for the fire station and the flyover, the 1.5 million on the flyover, I understand has to be paid, or I've heard, over 5 to 8 years to the state, not 1.5 million all in a lump sum. Is that correct?
Well, that wasn't presented to us ever, because we were told that they were giving us the road for 1.5, and that's how they were paying for it. So we were never in any discussion regarding if we weren't going to do it by road transfer, how we would need to pay it. So that's never been a conversation we've had.
Okay, so we need to,
But I can do that.
Figure it out. Okay. The other thing is, we have had additional sales tax revenue going into the general fund since July 1st. How much additional sales tax revenue have we had since July 1st to today, or whenever the last run would be?
We're over about 8 million over what our numbers collected were. It's a little more complicated with budget numbers because it all gets allocated, but I can give you a more breakdown on where we are as far as the budget, so we know how much
So we're $8 million
compared to
over
last year.
from last year.
Yes,
Okay, so that's money that's not budgeted.
correct.
Okay, so that money should be sitting somewhere
It
that
is.
could solve these two problems. The other thing is on unfilled positions that we have throughout the city. How many unfilled positions do we have throughout the city? 50, 100?
Mr. Melvin, you probably have 50 in your department alone, right?
Pretty much, yes.
So, and through other departments, obviously we have unfilled positions. And so that money should also be sitting there, and that could also be a source, because that money shouldn't be spent. That could also be a source to fix this problem that we ran into. And that would solve the problem of us not having to take the roads over for eternity and have to constantly do the maintenance on it. So I guess I'd like to know how much sales tax revenue is in addition this year that's not budgeted, and how many unfilled positions we have, and what the total, if you can get a pretty close total to how much salary that is, and because they are also 37% above the salary that's not being paid either for retirement, health insurance, and everything else. So I'd like those two numbers to be able to see if we could use that money to solve this problem. Then we don't have to take over the roads and assume that liability for the rest of our lives.
Absolutely, we'll look into that and get information for you for the next council meeting.
Thank you.